there, it's Carol with Carolbcrafts. Today we'll be making this classic black and white congrats card. It's great for a graduate or someone who's got a promotion, starting a new job, and maybe even someone that's been accepted to a college that they've been applying to. This is card number 2 in my Sailing Home Class to Go kit. Check out my website www.carolbcrafts.com to see what current Class to Go kit I'm offering. Now if you don't have the kit, no worries, I will give you the dimensions as we go along so that you can make this classic congrats card with us. Now the Sailing Home Class to Go kit centers around the Sailing Home stamps and the smooth sailing dies, which are awesome dies. Lots of nautical themes here. The kit that you'll need will be the one that has the gray and black DSP, this one here, with the rhinestones. For your inks, you'll need Memento Tuxedo Black. For your adhesives, multi-purpose glue, mini glue dots, mini dimensionals, and regular snail. And I'll be using my Take Your Pick tool to put my rhinestones on. You'll also want to have your die cutting machine and your stamp positioner. So I'll clear all of this away and we'll get started with our stamping. So here's your kit. We'll get the things that need to be stamped on. So everything is pre-cut for you except the things that you'll be cutting with your dies. Some of these things we can set aside. We'll be stamping on one of these 2 circles, the piece of Whisper White here and this piece of Whisper White. So everything else for now we can set aside till we're ready to move on. So I have my Stamparatus and I have it set up for the rubber stamps, and what I do for that is I have underneath here I have one of the silicone mats. It's a rubber mat that helps keep things from sliding around. I have a 1/16 inch thick piece of 7 by 7 inch chipboard, and then the small grid paper that we sell. And that helps me with my stamping. It kind of gives a little lift to the base. So for stamping, you'll also want to have, and I forgot to mention it, your 4 by 6 piece of window sheet, and each person that orders from me, their first order, they'll get one of these pieces of window sheet. So hang on to this. You'll need it for future Class to Go kits. So we'll go ahead and put this piece of window sheet here in the corner, landscape. And the stamps that we're going to use this dial, the smaller sailboat, set sail in the direction of your dreams, and then congrats. Those are the 4 that we'll be using. I'm going to take the dial stamp and put it in the bottom left corner and pick it up with my Stamparatus. Now we're going to stamp that dial on our circles, and these are die cut with the 3rd smallest die in the layering circles dies. And so you can see that we're going to stamp it in the center, and to make that easier we're going to stamp an image on the plastic, then we're going to slide this under the plastic, remove the plastic, and then stamp the image on our actual paper or cardstock. So go ahead and put a little bit of adhesive, just a tiny bit, to adhere it to your scrap piece of paper so you can slide that under. Ink up your stamp, and I like to rub it to get all the detail, although it doesn't have to be perfect right now because we're only stamping on the plastic. But we do want to slide this under and get it so that there's even white space all around the edges. Put your magnet onto the scratch paper to hold that in place. Remove your plastic. Ink up your stamp again. And it's better to do several light stamps than one really heavy stamp. So that's a light stamp, so I'm going to come back in and do it again. Okay, maybe one more time. Just one more time, lightly. I can really see the detail on there when I don't over ink it, and it's really impressive. So I'm going to clean that stamp up, and I'm also going to clean off my plastic. And be sure to dry your plastic off. I use a microfiber cloth like you get with your glasses if you order glasses. I'll set this aside for now and let it dry really well. I gave you two. You don't need both unless you need to stamp it twice for some reason. Okay, then the next thing we're going to stamp is with our plastic is our sentiment, which is set sail in the direction of your dreams. So I'll put my plastic back in that corner, get my set sail in the direction of your dreams and put it in the bottom left corner, and ink that one up. And make sure that I don't have it upside down because I don't want to do that. Alright, so now this is a landscape card, so we'll be stamping our sentiment landscape on for the inside. Okay, that looks good, so I'm going to put my magnet to hold the cardstock in place and remove the plastic. Ink up my stamp. And I might do that one more time. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to put the smaller stamp. I'll clean off my stamp first, and I'll clean off my plastic. Now we don't need to use the plastic for the sailboat. And so what I'm going to do is just look to see kind of where it would be if it was straight, and you don't use this to be straight like that because your boat will be slanted. Look at the front and see kind of how the sailboat is slanted, and it kind of slants to the right there. So I'll pick that up and ink it up. Okay, so that's ready for the inside. I'll clean my stamp off. And then the last thing that we need to stamp is so this piece of Whisper White is 3.5 by 2 1/8, and it is for the congrats. We'll be die cutting it after we stamp, so I'm going to put congrats on here in the center. Ink that up. Try not to get it too inky so that you can still see the texture to it. Maybe just one more time lightly. Okay, that's ready to die cut, so I will clean off my stamp and we are done with our stamping. So now we're going to do some die cutting, and we have this is the silver metallic paper, and it is 2 inches by 1 inch. And then this is a basic black cardstock. It is 3.5 by 2 1/8. On this one, we'll be die cutting this label die here. And we'll be cutting, there's 2 spindles in your dies. There's a larger one, a thicker one, and then there's a thinner one. Those 2 there. I'll go ahead and get the label out too that we'll be using. So the thicker spindle is going to go on your black, and the thinner one is going to go on top of your silver. You could actually cut 2 of those if you wanted to make an additional card. And then your label die is going to cut your congrats out, and I'm going to tape that in place so that it stays where I want it while I'm cutting it. So I'm going to cut all these out with my die cutting machine and I'll be back. Okay, so I have all my die cuts, so we're ready to start putting together our cards. So I'm going to bring everything else back in here. This is a thick whisper white, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Going to fold it in half and I'll crease that fold with my bone folder. And again, this is a landscape card. Now we have some ribbon, so we don't want to get too hasty and put our cardstock on our card base before we get our ribbon on. Now for the DSP, we have 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. That's going to go on a piece of basic black, which is 5 1/4 by 4. And I'm going to use glue for that because when I'm using DSP, I like to be able to move it around if I need to. So decide which one edge you want as your bottom, and you're going to measure on the back with a pencil 1 1/4 inches from the bottom edge. You're going to make a mark here. That's going to show you where to place your ribbon. Now we have two pieces of ribbon. We have the black satin ribbon. It's 7 inches, and then we have the silver metallic ribbon, which is 7 inches. The black satin ribbon is going to go on first. So we'll take just above our marks, we're going to put about 1 inch of adhesive to hold our ribbon in place. Get our black satin ribbon, have even spacing on each end, and bring that around to our mark. Press the ribbon into the snail, find our mark over here, and press the ribbon here into the snail. Now to put the white on top, we're going to put some snail on top of our black ribbon. Find our front. The front will be on the outside of the curve. Even distances again on the edge, and center that over your black ribbon and push it in to the adhesive on the back. Make sure there's no puckers. Push that in. That's ready to go on the front of our card, and I will put some more snail over this metallic ribbon just to make sure it stays down and in place. This is going to go on the front of our card base. So push that down really well. Now I like to put some, just to kind of keep that ribbon in place, I like to get a glue dot and take your pick tool, just pick that up, that glue dot up off of the spool and keep it as flat as possible. Now that's going to be covered by the dial, so I don't have to worry about that. And then I'm going to do the same with the silver ribbon to keep it in place. So if there's a little knot or pucker, it won't matter because it will be covered up. So next, now that we've got that done, well, let's just go ahead and put the inside in to get that out of the way. So we'll take our inside sentiment and put it on front of a 5 by 3 3/4 basic black. I'll use some snail for that. Okay, now ready to do the front. So we're going to bring in our dial, and I'm going to twist that off rather than try to pull it because I don't want to bend it. So try to just twist that off. This is going to go on top of this die cut here, and I'm going to use some glue for that. And I'm going to do it so that the dial is facing kind of like not straight, it's kind of like northwest. I'm going to center that on there. and let that dry. And this is going to go on over our ribbon, and I'm going to put that on with mini dimensionals, but I don't want to put dimensionals where the ribbon is going to be, so I'm going to flip it over and put my dimensionals top and bottom, but not here where the ribbon is. Okay, so I have my mini dimensionals above and below the ribbon, and I've taken the backings off, so ready to put this on, and it is about 3/4 of an inch from the edge of the white cardstock there, slightly, just roughly, just to give you an idea. And you're going to put it over the ribbon so that these flat pieces on the edges are right over the ribbon. Now we're ready to put our spindles on. Our black spindle we're going to put on with a glue dot, and it's going to go over that spindle that we stamped right there. So I'll get my glue dots. Now we're going to get our silver one, and it's going to go on top. And it's going to go more west than north, but not completely west. And if it's a little bit off, you can always kind of pick it up and move it gently. Okay, that looks good. And then in the center we'll be putting a rhinestone. So let's get our congrats. We'll put this on, and if you see on the sides there is actually like a die cut there. That is to give it dimensions, so you're just going to kind of push that down gently. You don't want to break anything. And I'm going to put some mini dimensionals on the back. So I put my dimensionals on, and I've taken the backs off. Now we're going to put this up in the top right corner, just about 1/4 of an inch from the top of the DSP, and a little less than 1/4 of an inch from the edge. Most importantly, that you get it level. Okay, that looks good. And that should have some dimension to it. It should look like it's standing up off the card. Now we're ready to do our bling, and we'll be finished. So what we have here are 2 medium rhinestones, basic jewels rhinestones, and then 7 small. The 2 medium ones will go here on the sides in the center, and then we'll put a small one above and below each one of the medium ones. Okay, that's that. We're going to put a small one in the center of our spindles, and then the other 2 small ones we'll put one bottom right, top left. Alright, our card is finished. This was project number 2 in my Sailing Home Class to Go kit. Check out my website www.carolbcrafts.com to see what current Class to Go kit I'm offering. Thanks for watching. Bye now.